Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Courtroom Insider. I'm Nate Eaton. Hope you are ready for the weekend. It's October 10th, 2025, and we are having a beautiful fall here in eastern Idaho. The leaves are golden brown, yellow, orange. We haven't had any major snow, any snow at all, really, at least where we're at in Idaho Falls. And it's just been so nice. And I say that and watch. Tomorrow we'll get pummeled by snow. Anyway, there's a lot of news to just get caught up on tonight. I wanted to come on at the end of the week to go through a lot of developments in some big cases that we've been tracking over the week and just get you up to speed before we head into the weekend because it seems like these new developments have happened kind of quick. And I've waited to maybe do one episode on one particular topic or another on another, but I decided not to do that. Instead, I'm going to combine them all. By the way, if you hear little feet running above me, I'm at home. I'm in the basement tonight, and the kids are here. Erica's out of town for the weekend, so I'm being Mr. Dad and taking care of the kids, and it's been a lot of fun. But anyway, so forgive the noise if there is some noise. Let me kick off Bryan Kohberger. Interesting stuff has come out over the past few days, especially with his actions concerning his movements after the murders of the University of Idaho students. I'll begin by saying that some motions have been filed, or not motions, some rulings by the judge about the remaining court documents. For example, like the witness list, whether things should continue to be sealed or unsealed or released. And Judge Hippler has ruled on a number of those outstanding items. For instance, like the witness list, he says we're going to keep that sealed because that wouldn't have become public anyway, and it's an unwarranted invasion of privacy. So there's still some documents they're dealing with had this gone to trial, which if you think about it, if this was in trial, I'd be coming to you tonight talking about who testified today in court. We'd still be in trial, and this would have started the end of August. Instead, we know he took the plea agreement. He'll serve life in prison, cannot be up for parole, and it is what it is. So the judge is dealing with records and whatnot. As this is happening, we're getting new video that we haven't seen before of Bryan Kohberger right after the murders. Fox News obtained this video. You can see it here about what Bryan Kohberger did in the hours after the murders. First of all, he went to Costco. This is him going to Costco and getting turned away because he didn't have a membership card, apparently. He didn't have a membership card. He tries to get into the store, can't get in, doesn't have the card. They're particular about that. Well, he takes another stop at Albertsons. And it appears to show that he goes to the self-checkout register. This is, again, hours after the murderers, plural, and he's at the grocery store using self-checkout. The videos include numerous clips taken at his stops. And then there's video. Now, we've seen some of this. We first saw it on Dateline when they did their show several months ago about the movements from surveillance footage showing that Hyundai Elantra, where he changed the license plate at a neighbor's, the video footage showed him stopping at a neighbor's, nearby. A neighbor's surveillance footage, there, I can get it out, showed him stopping at the home where the students were. And ultimately, he was parked there for a short period of time before it left. And now there's more videos showing that him driving around, numerous clips taken by surveillance cameras throughout the route to and from the crime scene, showing what appears to be his Elantra in various locations before and after the murders. This is the movements of that night. Whether this was all planned, go to Albertsons, go to Costco, we'll never know unless he decides to talk. And at that point, do you believe him? But it's kind of interesting to see the actions, what happens after somebody does something so horrific. Again, I mentioned he also changed the license plates after the murder, switching it from one Pennsylvania registration to a local one. So you would think, okay, if you have the plates on your car, you commit a murder, you go switch them. Maybe that's a way to, throw off the police or whatnot. But interesting to see, him at the Albertsons in a green dress shirt, nice dress slacks, as it appears to me, buying something at the grocery store. And I can't tell exactly what he bought at the register, but we know that Kohberger is serving 4 consecutive life sentences, no chances of parole, plus an additional 10 years. And That's where he's at now in Idaho Maximum Security Institute in Kuna. So that's the new video. Now, remember when we talked about the video of him in that prison? You remember the video? It went crazy viral. Here's a clip of it that was posted. The Idaho Department of Correction opened up an investigation to figure out how this video got out. Now, when it first came out, there was some question of, is it AI? Is it manipulated video? Is that really him? It looked pretty clear to me like it was him in a jail cell, in a prison cell. But then you wonder, how could that video get out? Like, it's not like I've been to these prisons. I haven't been to the maximum security prison, but a few weeks ago, we spent some time in another facility just down the road, just the general population prison. They took our phones, they took our IDs. We could not walk through that facility with any electronic device. And we were allowed media, like I was with Jordan, my photographer, he was allowed a camera, but we could not have that camera up until they said it was okay. And so you see that footage, you're like, how did that get out? Well, immediately you think, which prison guard shot it from their phone? And it appears that's what happened. An investigation was open, and the Idaho Statesman reports that no criminal charges will be filed against the corrections officer suspected of recording and releasing prison surveillance security footage of Bryan Kohberger. Prison officials in the Idaho State Police conducted an investigation. They determined the video was, quote, authentic and in clear violation of policy. You obviously can't work at the prison and record the inmates and then leak it. After the footage made its way online in August, prison leadership committed to finding the person and holding them accountable. Investigators said that they determined it was a man who worked at the prison, IDOC, and even though the footage was recorded, according to ISP, Idaho State Police, which did the investigation, it was found that the action did not rise to the level of breaking a law, a state or a federal law. While it may have violated all the policies and procedures in the handbook for the prisons, the law was not broken. The employee quit their job with this prison system before he could be fired. Aaron Snell, quote, with ISP said he has now resigned and there is no criminal violation we can charge him with. The video does not fall under the definition of contraband. Prison officials did not provide more information to the Statesman. The IDOC spokeswoman, Sanda Sirmagic, said that the individual responsible for the policy violation was identified and has since left the agency. The case was referred to the Idaho State Police, which determined there was insufficient evidence to pursue criminal charges. We remain committed to upholding the highest standard of conduct and will continue to enforce all policies to protect the security of inmates and staff. So I've been asked multiple times, did we pay for the video? Did we pay to show the video? No. East Idaho News did not pay for the video. We don't pay. Here's kind of how it works. Everybody thinks that we pay, not everybody, a lot of people think that we pay for footage or photos or interviews. We don't. I've never paid for an interview in my life. I've never paid for footage in my life. We did pay one time a licensing fee. Emmy's coming in here. I need this notebook, Emmy. Oh, she's grabbing something. She was recording interviews in here earlier. You want to yell hi? Emmy says hi, my daughter. Again, the kids are here. Hope you don't mind. We did pay one time for footage of an explosion. Somebody got dash cam video, and what it is that you pay to license. You pay for the licensing rights to show the footage. But that's the only time we've ever done it. I think we paid like $100. The networks, now when you get to like ABC 2020, Dateline, NBC, CBS, they will license more. And it's becoming a little bit stricter for some agencies where they don't pay for interviews, because if money gets involved, it becomes real murky. It becomes real, we're paying you for the story, and you don't, it's just tell your story. Just, tell it. That's my view. Tell your story and share the photos and let us talk about your loved one or whatever. But so we don't pay. Some of the networks might pay to license footage. I don't think they'd pay for this prison footage, but there are agencies who do pay and are open about it. TMZ, they pay. Daily Mail, they pay. And if someone contacted them with this footage as an exclusive, I believe you could make a pretty penny with it. I believe if you had authentic footage of Bryan Kohberger or Lori Vallow or a notorious killer in prison walking around doing something like that, you could make probably a couple $1,000s, maybe more. I know it sounds so dirty. It is to me. We like I said, we wouldn't pay, but you know that people are going to watch it and it's going to get you news content and it's just, I hate to say it, but kind of the world we're in, and I'm just being transparent with you. So I don't think that this prison guard sold the footage. I don't know. I have no idea. The first place I saw it was on Twitter. It's also possible someone takes a phone and records off their screen while they're at work. Like, look at this Kohberger walking around. I just got 20 seconds of footage. Send to my girlfriend. Send to my friend. Send to my neighbor. Check this out, Kohberger. And you know what happens? You know what happens once it's sent to one person. It's then sent out to 5 other people, 10 other people, and before you know it, it's on social media. And so that's possibly what happened. I don't know. Um, so that's kind of how the payment thing works in the media world. Um, I've told this story before that the day Lori Vallow was arrested in Hawaii, a paparazzi called me and said, I have photos and video of Lori Vallow in handcuffs in Hawaii. Well, how much will you pay for them? And I said, we don't pay. We don't pay for footage. We don't pay for photos. He goes, what? Your company will pay to fly you to Hawaii, but you won't pay me for my photos? We're like, we're not going to pay. And those photos were licensed to a network that I saw the next morning. They were running the pictures, and that same network got the wedding photos of Chad and Lori. They paid a pretty penny for those, and those photos ended up not they who they licensed them from didn't even have the licensing rights. They didn't even own the photos. Anyway, that's another story. So it just gets messy when money's involved, and that's what it is. So bottom line, they found the leaker. They found who took the images, the photos of Kohberger, and that person no longer works for the prison. And I'm sure everybody at the prison is like on high alert as far as to never leak anything like that. Okay, now to another case, Tyler Robinson. This is the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk in Utah at Utah Valley University. There has been, so he was in court. He had a court hearing a few weeks ago. He was not actually there in person. His attorneys were. He has now a legal team, a very experienced legal defense team, and he appeared on the phone. Well, there is another court hearing coming up on October 30th, and the judge, Judge Graff, has made it very clear he expects all the parties to cooperate with each other, to get along, to not cause drama, basically. And now his attorneys have filed one of their first motions, and they are asking that Charlie Kirk's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, be allowed to appear at all upcoming hearings in regular clothes and without shackles. Quote, given the pervasive media coverage in this case, the repeated display of Mr. Robinson in jail garb, shackles, and a suicide vest will undoubtedly be viewed by prospective jurors and will inevitably lead to prospective juror perceptions that he is guilty and deserving of death. This is very common in high-profile cases. We saw it in the case of Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, where the judge did permit them to wear normal clothes because cameras were in the courtroom and people were watching, and they were dressed up, and they did have handcuffs though. They had a vest, some days on the outside, but some days on the inside of their clothing. And now the judge is saying that his attorneys are saying so many people are going to be watching this. We need him to wear normal clothes. So when he appeared from the jail, remember that, so he's had 2 court hearings now. The first one, Tyler Robinson appeared from jail, and he was wearing a safety smock or a turtle suit. It's a one-piece tear-resistant garment worn to prevent them from committing suicide by forming a noose. And then at the second hearing, he was on video, but he was blacked out at his attorney's requests. The judge did say, I expect your client to be here. He needs to be here. And so he's got to show up. I would imagine a lot of defense attorneys would say, I want my client to not be here. The least amount of time that they can be shown in public, the better. Some Defendants like being seen though, so they would go and they do their hair up all nice and whatnot. His defense team wants their client to appear in civilian attire without physical restraints. These requests are necessary to maintain the presumption of innocence, to protect Mr. Robinson's right to a fair trial and impartial trial, and to maintain courtroom decorum and dignity. While a defendant is innocent until proven guilty, quote, the psychological reality is that human beings who serve on the bench are likewise not immune to such subconscious and subliminal influence from seeing a human being in chains to protect others from him. The attorneys say reliable decision making in death penalty case must be grounded in admissible evidence, not on innuendo derived from a defendant's custodial status. They point to media coverage following his initial appearance. Quote, Mr. Robinson's physical appearance alone was and is the subject to endless scrutiny and speculation. One article described Mr. Robinson during his initial appearance as, quote, emotionless and staring blankly ahead and sporting slightly mussed locks, several days worth of facial hair, and wearing a green suicide smock. With each development in the case generating thousands of articles and comments online, the likelihood of potential jurors seeing and drawing conclusions regarding Mr. Robinson's guilt or deserved punishment from obvious signs of pretrial incarceration will only increase. In the face of worldwide scrutiny, permitting Mr. Robinson to wear civilian clothes for court appearance is a minor inconvenience compared to the already present concerns with securing a fair trial. So I personally think the judge will allow this to happen. This happened in Kouri Richins. It happens in O.J. Simpson. I mean, I can't think of one. Now, there are some judges where it hasn't happened. There are some judges where the person has to wear jail clothes until the actual trial, until like jury selection. When the jurors come in, then they can dress up because they think, what's the point? And you'll notice even with Kohberger, at his change of plea, he was in a normal attire, but then when he was sentenced, it was jailhouse prison attire. So I do think the judge will rule on this, and I do think we will see Tyler Robinson in normal clothes for the October 30th hearing. Hi, buddy. Do you want to say hi? What are you doing? You're going to go to the neighbors. Okay. Have fun. Come back. The kids are saying hi. Oh, Elliot, you need to be back in about 20 minutes for your play. Okay. All right. Thank you. We can take a little intermission break there. Let's move on to our next case. All these cases piling up. Ruby Franke, small one here that I wanted to bring to your attention. She's still in prison. She's not going anywhere for a while. But her husband, ex-husband, Kevin Franke, is engaged. In fact, he posted on Facebook publicly, so this has been public and it's been in the news, that he is getting married to this woman named Becca Bevan. Ruby Franke's ex-husband Kevin is engaged. She's announced it on Facebook. A lot has transpired since I've been on Facebook several months ago. I'm thrilled to announce my engagement to a wonderful and amazing woman, Becca Bevan. We are planning a simple wedding on November 14th here in Springville, Utah with family. I just wanted to share my happy news with all of you, my friends. And then he took a moment to write that redemption is a real thing. There were moments during the past 3 years when I didn't think I would ever feel happiness or the warm embrace of a loving partner again. I'm so grateful for grace, resilience, a loving God who gives me hope, and family and friends that buoyed me up when I couldn't stand on my end. Here's to new beginnings and fresh starts. So congratulations to him and his engagement here and his marriage here in about a month. And he's one guy I'd like to interview one day. If you haven't seen the docuseries, I believe on Hulu with him and his son, it's pretty interesting, pretty eye-opening, pretty disturbing, to be honest. But he will be getting married very soon. Okay, many of you have emailed about Lori Vallow and her appeal. I don't know how it got started, but apparently somebody said that the appeal was granted on one of the Facebook groups. That is not true. Lori Vallow, Daybell, the appeal in Idaho. There was something filed last week, basically an extension, a request to have an extension for the fourth time. You might remember that her attorneys here in Idaho finally finished their appeal brief back in April or May and submitted it. It's dozens of pages long. And now the state will respond to that too. So they'll kind of go back and forth before it ends up before the Court of Appeals and ultimately the Supreme Court here in the state of Idaho. So she was found guilty in April of 23. So yeah, April of 25, this next April will be 3 years. That's about on par for appeals. And when it finally happens, when the Supreme Court finally hears her case, it's not like Lori's going to appear. Her attorney, her appellate attorney will appear, and they're going to discuss the legalities of the actual like trial, not like calling new witnesses who have new evidence. That's not what the appellate process is about. It's going to be about, you know, the judge erred in this particular moment when he did this, or the judge said this. And her appellate, I did a whole video on this. If you're interested in the appeal, you can go back and check what we talked about then. But there's certain reasons why they say that the appeal should be granted, and the judge and the state will address those specific findings. So no, her appeal is still there. I don't know if the appeal has been filed in Arizona. We still have at least one outstanding court hearing with the restitution with Kay Woodcock, and how much money Lori owes them. And we talked about this before. That will be later on this month in October. And we'll see. I imagine Kay will testify, and they'll have receipts, and Lori might object as her own attorney. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Okay, the other case I want to talk about was Kouri Richins. This is big news. This happened a little over a week ago, and I just wanted to get you up to speed on this particular case. All these cases to get caught up on. Let me just pull up my notes here. Kouri Richins. Well, first of all, minor thing. Well, I shouldn't say minor. There's a more major thing we'll talk about in a minute. But the attorney's office in Summit County, Utah, which is where Park City, has filed amended charges. They've amended their criminal complaint against her. She's no longer facing drug distribution charges. Now, remember, this is the 35-year-old Utah mom and former real estate agent who's charged with aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, first-degree felonies. She's accused of killing her husband, Eric, back in March of 2022 and attempting to kill him the month before in February of 2022. She is now charged, so she faces those aggravated murder charges. She also faces charges of insurance fraud, 2 counts, a second-degree felony, forgery, a third-degree felony. So they basically adjusted the charges. They've added in the insurance fraud, and they've added in the forgery charge, and they've dropped the drug distribution charges. She's accused of purchasing fentanyl and secretly putting it in her husband's sandwich on Valentine's Day, 2022, and then purchasing more fentanyl and giving it surreptitiously to him sometime between the night of March 3rd, 2022 and the following morning. The updated charging documents come a week after her defense attorney filed 2 motions asking that the prosecutors hand over their exculpatory evidence and asking the judge to reconsider his decision on not allowing her bond. She remains incarcerated without bond. So we'll see what the judge rules there. The other big news that came out in this case happened earlier this month, well, last week. Her house cleaner, the defense says that her house cleaner was not given fentanyl. So let me back up and explain this. Her attorneys claim that she couldn't have purchased the fentanyl that she allegedly used to poison her husband because the woman didn't have any fentanyl to give her, the house cleaner, who apparently had the drugs, allegedly. The claim is that she got those drugs from the house cleaner and then she used them to kill her husband. They're saying that the housekeeper didn't have any fentanyl. If the state cannot, this is what the statement says, her motion filed. If the state cannot place fentanyl in the hands of Richens, the state has no case. Mr. Crozier's statement doesn't just poke holes in their case, it throws a grenade into the middle of it, leaving them nothing but speculation and conjecture, getting them nowhere near the realm of proving their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Richens is accused of buying the fentanyl from her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, then allegedly acquired it from a man named Robert Crozier. So she got it from her housekeeper, who allegedly acquired it from a guy named Crozier. But according to the affidavit, Crozier states he was first interviewed by the detectives in 2023. He had been in jail for a short time and was detoxing from drug use. This reporting comes from KSL.com. They've done a great job on this. He said he doesn't remember the details of the interview, but he was interviewed again and asked if he sold fentanyl to the housekeeper. He says, I told them no. I sold OxyContin to Carmen on 2 occasions in early 22. Then when I asked why I had previously told the officer I'd sold her fentanyl, I told him I did not remember saying that. and that if I had been detoxing during the interview and was out of it. I told them I was certain I sold Carmen OxyContin. So Richens' attorneys state that none of the fentanyl pills allegedly used to kill Eric Richens were found or tested, and that Carmen Lauber only told investigators that she supplied Richens with because she believed Crozier had given it to her. So, in this matter, the state's entire theory of criminal liability is that Kouri Richins procured fentanyl from her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, which she caused to be unwillingly ingested by her husband in some unknown way. These statements are wholly dependent on whether or not they got the fentanyl. If he did not give the fentanyl to the housekeeper, then there's no credible evidence that Kouri Richins had it. Interesting twist here. Uh, and we'll see how the prosecutions responded. As of tonight, they have not filed a response, or at least I have not seen a response as far as whether they had their response to where she got the fentanyl. The prosecution, let's see what this says. Richens' attorney, yeah, I talked about them filing the motion for bond. So this trial is set to begin next February. This is going to be fascinating. I plan on being there so we can do Courtroom Insider every night, breaking it all down next February of 2026. You can follow along and we'll give you the updates. And we'll let you know how her attorneys respond to this motion and what happens. I mean, if the judge rules this out, that could be a big blow to the prosecution. And then that comes down to, well, if he had fentanyl in his system, where did he get it? Where did she get it? So many questions around it. So that is the latest on the Kouri Richins case. So I think we got them all. I just have to thank you all for staying up with me and talking about this on your Friday night. I know like Dateline and 2020 are on, and you can still watch those on demand. I want to thank newspapers.com for sponsoring us. It's so fun wherever I go to hear people tell me about their newspapers.com stories. The other night, Emmy and I went to see Benson Boone. Now, I'm going to admit to you, this shows that I'm out of touch. I only found out who Benson Boone was about 7 or 8 months ago. I had some friends that went to a jazz game in Utah, and Benson Boone was sitting next to them. They came back, they're like, we saw Benson Boone. I'm like, who's Benson Boone? Benson Boone is a singer who went on American Idol and dropped out and then got signed with a label and has blown up. And he actually went to BYU, Idaho, near us here in Idaho Falls for a semester or two before dropping out and pursuing music. In fact, somebody sent me a video of him singing at Porter Park doing karaoke when he was in Idaho. Wish I would have known. I would have gone and covered it. Anyway, Emmy is a big fan, and we went down. Erica flew out for a family thing a couple of nights ago, so we drove down to Salt Lake. She flew out of Salt Lake, and Emmy and I went to the show. It was amazing. It was an incredible show. I posted about it on my Facebook page with photos and video, and we were sitting right behind I believe his grandparents, like the row right behind them, because his dad, and who's named Nate, Mr. Electric Blue himself, and his mom and his sisters were down on the floor, and they kept looking up and like doing, "I love you." And I don't think they were saying that to me, but if they were, I appreciate that. That's very kind. Anyway, so we were at the show, and Emmy really wanted a t-shirt, and you know how much those t-shirts cost? $50. And I'm like, we're not getting swag, we're not getting merch. I ended up getting her a shirt. She's like, I earned the money with my 7 questions interviews. So we were waiting in line, and a woman came up to me, I tell you this long story, to talk about how newspapers.com helped her mother find a story about her brother who, when he was in first grade, they did a balloon launch. All of this was on newspapers.com. The little small town newspaper, I think in New Mexico, wrote about this. The first graders went out, they all launched a balloon, and they put their letter inside the balloons. And they let them go. I don't think they do this anymore because of the environment, but they let them go. And a woman went out into her backyard, nearby, I guess, pulled the balloon off the fence, popped the balloon, found the letter, and that woman's husband had just passed away. And so she got this letter from a first grader saying, hey, I hope you find this balloon and that you like it. So then she wrote a letter back to the school thanking the first grader for putting the balloon in the air. And then the two met. And so the newspaper did a story about this cool reunion between this elderly woman who got the balloon and the kid who wrote it. And the woman that was telling me this, it was her mom's brother, so her uncle, who was the kid in the story. And after she heard me talking about newspapers.com a few months ago, she went on and got a 7-day trial and Googled and searched all of her parents' names, her grandparents' names, her uncles, and found this story. And they had never known about this in their family. They had never known about, they'd never heard about this cool story about the kid in the balloon and all that. And now they did. And then she's telling me at the Benson Boone concert. So I'm like, this is really cool. So I love hearing your stories. I love newspapers.com. As a news guy, a news addict, I could tell you, I'm addicted to the news. It's one of my favorite websites, and I hope you'll go check it out if you haven't. There is a 7-day trial that you can use, and we'll work on maybe getting you a promo code here for the next few months if you want to try. I don't have one now to share with you, but we might be able to get one from you. Either way, go try the 7-day trial, play around with it. Send me your newspapers.com stories. Here's where you can reach me. I'm on Facebook, Nate Eaton Reporter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X. And I'm on YouTube, of course, because I'm here. So if you have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. Subscribe to Meet and the Eatons if you want to follow the family stuff. Kind of a blend here with all that. And we have exciting Courtroom Insiders planned for the next few weeks. Chris Hansen from the Predator series, Take a Seat with Chris Hansen. He's going to be here next week. If you have questions for him, send them to questions@eastidahonews.com or just reach out to me and we'll have him on for the full show, and also some other guests. And there's some other cases too that I might need your help with. Many of you have messaged me about some cases. There's one in particular about the American Airlines stewardess, the American Airlines flight attendant who was found dead in her hotel. Diana Ramos, is that her name? I think Ramos is the last name. I know you guys, many of you are tagging me a lot in that about that case. And I'm interested in learning more. If you know people that can talk to me about this, can come on, please reach out. That case, and there's many others. A justice for Diana Ramos. This is a woman who, 66-year-old flight attendant, was found deceased in her hotel room at the Philadelphia Airport Marriott in September of 23. A t-shirt was found shoved deep in her throat, indicating foul play. Despite the evidence, her death cause remains undetermined. The detectives closed her case, saying it was not a homicide. That's an interesting one that if you know more or can talk about it, please reach out to me. And I put my info on how you can reach me earlier. All right, I need to go make sure the kids aren't messing up the house and tearing things apart, but I just wanted to come on. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. We're doing our big East Idaho news party tomorrow. I'll post some photos on my Facebook page. We always have a lot of fun with that. I'm planning it this year, so I got a lot of fun prizes upstairs that we're going to bring to the party. Thanks for watching Courtroom Insider. Hope you have a great weekend. I'm Nate Eaton. Take care.